As we're back inside the action here on a Wednesday on In My Own Words, the podcast, hottest show on the street. Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers became the highest paid running back in the league, signed that contract, which means it will only be a matter of time before Derrick Henry gets his deal. Only just a matter of time. But we go to the call line right now where we pick up my man, Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver who played from 2003 to 07. We had him on once before, and he was so good. He was so darn good that we had to bring him back to get his analysis on the NFL, the draft, get his analysis on Alabama football. Matt Caddell, welcome back in, brother.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. Glad to be back on the show.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely glad to have you back in here. Now, Matt, the NFL draft at wide receiver, this is a big, huge class, deep class at wide receiver. Now, two of the best in this class that a lot of people talk about in high esteem would be Jeudy and Henry Ruggs III, both of the University of Alabama. Now, you played receiver under Mike Shula and Nick Saban. Is there anything that Ruggs and Jeudy did that remind you of your own game?
Yeah, they're just really great receivers, great route runners, but I feel like we really separated them. I just think Jeudy is such an elite route runner, a savvy route runner. I think he's the best route runner in this draft, so I think he'd probably be one of the top receivers off the board. With him, Lamb, as well as Ruggs, I think they're the upper tier at wide receivers. Jeudy just has elite bursts off the line, knows how to beat press coverage, has great body control. He's just a really savvy route runner. And as we saw, I think his sophomore year, he was just so elusive after the catch. You know, he made some people, broke a few ankles out there. And he
broke more than a few, man. He broke mine if I was out there.
Yeah. So he's just I think out of all the receivers, I think he's probably going to have the most early productivity because he's such a great route runner. I think that's going to transcend into the next level. You look at teams looking for receivers. Obviously, the Jets at 11, but I think the Jets probably go offensive line. And so I think it really gets interesting for teams is at 12 with the Oakland Raiders, 13 with the 49ers. The 49ers, they're probably looking at Ruggs. Kyle Shanahan was able to see, the Super Bowl kind of slip out of his way just by watching, Tyreek Hill just with all his speed, just make that one play to kind of really get the Chiefs back in the game. And I just think Ruggs kind of brings that capability. He's the most explosive, probably the most complete receiver out of the top three. He's very strong, very physical. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of Tyreek Hill, but more of like Deebo Samuel as well, where, he can do anything. He can do bubble screens, jet sweeps, reverses. He has great hands. He's just very versatile. And one thing I love about Ruggs that was similar to my game, he plays special teams. And so he not only can he return, but, he can cover kicks and he gives you that value. So he's very tough, a physical type receiver that can make plays at any time. So it's going to be interesting. So you have a couple teams. You have Denver at 15 that maybe want to trade up, maybe for Jeudy or Ruggs. The Eagles fans, they're just looking for a receiver. So Deshaun
Jackson is getting older. You need a quick twitch guy.
Yeah, and I have family members that are Eagles fans, and so they're always asking. We're talking about the draft, and I'm like, hey, Ruggs might be there, but he might not be there at 21, so you're probably going to have to trade up to get one of those top-tier receivers. So it's going to be interesting. But I think Jeudy and Ruggs just really are in the cream of the crop when it comes to this receiving core draft.
So when you look at Alabama this upcoming season here, Matt, especially if we are able to have this 2020 football season, aside from Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, who's that third guy? Who's the third receiver that has to break out?
I just think it's going to be a couple of guys. It's going to be really dependent on who's going to be, consistent, who's really going to take that next step and develop in that game. I don't think they're going to have to, try to be somebody else, but be themselves. And just as long as they develop their own game and just show that consistency. I mean, you have a couple of guys. You have, Jonathan Mitchie. He showed spurts last year, but I think one thing he needs to do is to continue to develop, to be more consistent, to really fit in the Sark system. Shavers, he's more of a bigger body receiver, so I think he's 6'3", 6'4". He showed
6'6", my man.
Yeah, 6'6". Oh man, thank you. Yeah, 6'6". So he gives you different types of receivers. And then we have those freshman guys coming in. We signed some pretty good receivers. Javon Baker. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys, kind of next man up, has that big play ability. He can play inside, outside. I feel like he really separated himself last year at the 5-star challenge, where he was really probably the best receiver out there going against top 5-star talent. You have Ty Jones-Bell, another South Florida product. So I think we keep that going. All those South Miami product receivers going back to Ridley, Jeudy, Cooper. Hopefully this guy, Ty Jones-Bell, will be able to make that next step and continue to develop. And he can play in the slot as well. And we got Trayshawn Holden, who's another big receiver. He's 6'4". So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot. The key for our receivers is everybody continue to develop, play to their strength, be consistent, and then they do that, they'll be able to separate themselves and get on the field. So right now, I don't know who that third guy, but from the looks of it, looks like Mitchie could be that third guy from what we've seen last year. But since we don't have spring, it'll be interesting to see who becomes that third playmaker.
If you're just now tuning in live to In My Own Words, the podcast, we're joined here by former Alabama wide receiver Matt Caddell, who played from 2003 to 2007. Not just a wide receiver, we might as well call him Analyst Matt Caddell, as he's in here breaking down the Crimson Tide. Well, Matt, you played receiver at Alabama, but you also were to get some tough, hard-nosed defensive backs at corner and also at safety. So when you look at Alabama's secondary in the coming fall here, who's got to emerge? Who will your eye be on in the defensive back room?
I think it just starts at the top with Patrick Surtain. He's such a big-time prospect coming out of high school. His dad played in the NFL. He took a big step forward his freshman year, made some plays last year, but I'm really looking for him in his third year to really take that next step and be that guy, kind of be our bell cow and that leader in the secondary. I think he has so much potential. Just as long as he continues to develop, push the other corners, push the safeties, make sure our secondary is in the right position. I mean, he can play inside, he can play star, he can play money, he can play corner, he can play safety. He can do it all. So I think key for us is to continue to develop our secondary. And the more I believe guys can do multiples like a Patrick Surtain, I believe we'll get the right fit out there. I mean, you have Jordan Battle, who showed great potential last year. I think he's going to be kind of that next big-time safety for us. So I know I like Josh Jobs. He's very physical. He proved a lot in the bowl game against Michigan. I really like how he played the game and finished the game with the interception. So I just think it's key for us to, look to those upperclassmen to really bring those younger guys on. I think we signed a great class. I mean, we have Jaquez Robinson. We signed a JUCO DB, and I'm quite sure Coach Saban and the defensive backs, Coach Kelly and all those, they're going to find the right core guys to be effective, to put the best 11 on the field.
Now, Matt, in this upcoming draft here, there's a lot of big quarterbacks, but the most intriguing one, or one of the more intriguing ones, is Jalen Hurts, who played not only at Alabama but also at Oklahoma. He set records. He did things in an incredible way on the field and off the field. And you have some guys looking at him possibly not falling out of the second round. When you look at Jalen Hurts, Where do you think he falls in the draft, and what would be the best fit for him in your mind?
I just think the world of Jalen Hurts, guy with such great character, class, done everything in a first-class manner, very professional. I think him and Tua are just really great people on and off the field. But I think Jalen, he's at the top of my board as far as just steals of the draft. I don't see him getting out of the second round. You look at his he's such a winner, being 26-2 at Alabama, then going to Oklahoma, being in the Heisman race, just showing what type of person he is, what type of competitor he is. I think Jalen is going to be the steal of the draft, and I actually see him not going far out of the second round. I can see teams possibly like New England Patriots maybe in the second round, but really I think a great fit for him would be the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mike Tomlin. You already have Big Ben Roethlisberger probably on his last leg, maybe has a year or two, and what better way to have Jalen Hurts, who can kind of learn, get acclimated, develop his game. The key for Jalen is to continue to develop his game as a passer, seeing the field. I believe he'll get in the right system and be successful in the NFL.
Now, could there be a situation, Matt, where a team trades back into the first round and get him, kind of like what happened with Lamar Jackson? The Baltimore Ravens traded back in the first round late to get Jackson with the 32nd overall pick. Could somebody trade in late in the first round for Jalen Hurts?
I believe so. I mean, you look at San Francisco with that 31st pick. I know they have the 13th pick, and I think they want to use that on an elite receiver, a Ruggs or a Jeudy or somebody like that. But I think they don't have any picks in the second, third, or fourth, and so I think they might trade out of that position. And you may look at a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers or the LA Chargers or whoever that might want to jump back in the first round and take Jalen Hurts late in the first round. And I wouldn't be surprised because, I mean, look at the top of the board. Jalen Hurts is one of the top quarterbacks in this draft.
We're live here with my man Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver who played from 2003 to 07, if you're just tuning into In My Own Words. And, Matt, I want to take you back to 2007. I want to take you back to 07 here, where you catch this game-winning touchdown from John Parker Wilson against Arkansas. My first question is, did you know you were going to get the ball on this play?
Yes. Yeah, we actually knew. One thing about Coach Saban, when he came in, he really instilled a lot of confidence in us and had a lot of structure of how we were going to attack teams. And we took that week by week, and we always had certain plays and certain situations where we were very prepared. And so I just remember breaking the huddle. John Parker and I were kind of on a roll, and I just remember breaking the huddle. I had the option to either, to break the route off or cut it inside or stay outside. But John Parker said, just keep it going. And so I stuck with it, and the offensive line did a great job protection. JP put a great ball up, and I made the catch. So, we practiced that. We practiced those situations all the time. We had the confidence, and we just knew we just had to go out there and execute and get the W.
Now, what was the play call on that play and the crowd's reaction, throughout that entire game? What was that play call?
I think the play call, I don't want to give all of Saban's secrets, but it was a certain play call. I'll put it like that because I don't want him to chew me out, next time I see him. But the play was called, and, we were just very confident, knew we could get it in. And, once we executed the play and we made the touchdown, it was actually surreal. I just remember catching the ball. We're really getting off the line, beating the Arkansas receiver, a defensive back. And John Parker threw a perfect ball, laid it up for me, caught it. And after that, I just remember getting up and then immediately getting tackled by Andre Smith, Mike Johnson, and I'm on the bottom
goodness.
Of the pile.
I'm happy you okay.
Yeah. I just remember being on the bottom of the pile and everybody jumping on the pile. It was just pandemonium. It was one of the greatest moments in Bryant-Denny history. I feel like that really people kind of got a taste of what Saban's going to bring to the program at that moment.
He's Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, graciously joined us live here on a Wednesday on In My Own Words, breaking down the NFL draft where Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs are concerned, talking some Jalen Hurts, talking some Bama wide receivers, and DB's just taking us through a whole spectrum of subjects. My man Matt, you be good. You have a great one. Appreciate you as always.
All right, thank you. You have a great one.
That was Matt Caddell coming on here to chop it up with us on a Wednesday. We're going to take another break here on In My Own Words, but upon our return, we jump back into the phone lines to grab your phone calls, tweets, thoughts, text messages, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in the Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.